Welcome to Positive Philter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career, with a little self-help along the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Philip Wilkerson back with another episode of Positive Philter. I'm joined by a special guest. Well, everyone's a special guest to me because they take their time to be on my show. But this one is a special guest because not only we frat, we're Mount Vernon alum. Okay, that was it. We're frat Mount Vernon alum. Track alum as well. I'm joined by my good brother, Trovon Williams. Now, as I said earlier, he's seen the growth. I've seen the growth. We've known each other since high school, and I really don't think that we both would have foreseen our lives being here at this place. Not at all. And so, just to give a gauge of where he's doing currently, he is the vice president of marketing and communications for the NAACP. But before we get into this episode about how he carries the brand of such an impactful organization, Trovon, just give the listeners a little other background about yourself other than what I just said.
Well, first of all, I want to thank my brother for having me on. Certainly an honor and a privilege to be on with you. Appreciate everything that you're doing, how you inspire and uplifting, man. You're setting a good example, man, and a lot of footsteps for people to follow into. So kudos to you. But Phil already gave y'all the vibes. I'm Trovon Williams, Vice President of Marketing Communications. I'm a highway kid, 703, what up? Born and bred Alexandria, Virginia, went to Hampton University. Shout out to Hampton University, home by the sea. And proud brother of Amplify Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Let's get into the mess, man. So let's talk about some stuff.
Yeah. So, going right into it, we're not going to shy. We obviously reconnected via Alpha, but we also reconnected because I'm randomly the faculty advisor for the NAACP at Mason, which I really didn't know how that happened. I told you the story earlier, is that these two young ladies, they came in my office and they said, we need a faculty advisor. I said, what I got to do? They said, just sign papers. I said, all right, bet I'll do it. But then I read into it and I was like, wow, I should have been involved with this a long time ago. Paid my $30, became a card-holding member of the NAACP, and really supported the young ladies that obviously are doing amazing things. One of them, give her a shout out, Shelby Adams, became the president of the whole SGA. So just took off and doing big stuff. But I want to kind of get into yours then. Like, how did you really get affiliated with the NAACP?
So, I mean, it's a great question. Ironically, going all the way back to college. I got involved. I went to a HBCU. I think it's fair to say this. Like we went to the same high school, Mount Vernon High School, and while Mount Vernon is extremely diverse in the scope of individuals that are there, the kind of diaspora of people that were there, going to Hampton opened up my perspective to appreciating who I was as an individual, appreciating being Black in many respects. Because of that, I wanted to get involved in as many things as possible. So I got involved with NAACP, and I ain't gonna get in here and lie to y'all. I got involved in NAACP originally because there was a girl there that I was interested in.
That's crazy.
I'm just gonna tell the truth and shame the devil. But you get involved with people because it's like, okay, I mean, there's a lot of pretty girls at Hampton. But I got involved and realized what that meant, what being involved into the association, the fact that I was able to vote for the first time was because of the fact that NAACP taught me how to get registered to vote, and getting involved from that standpoint, I was Mr. NAACP while I was at Hampton, so it wasn't just a kind of fly by the seat of your pants type of thing. It was something that I took very, very seriously over the 4 years I was there. I kind of lost track of it, as is the case with many things from college. When you graduate from school, you get involved in other things. And, I was a member, but I wasn't doing anything for a period of time. And then, quite frankly, I'm to be frank with you, 2016 hit. And I woke up 2016, realized that, my two sons at the time was going to have to live in a world where a racist president was going to take the helm. And, that didn't sit well with me. So I got back involved with the association. And it's just by happenstance, really, that I came across, I was already working in marketing. I was working for a community college here in Southern Maryland. I think we connected
We saw that.
One of these college fairs or something there, right?
Yes, we did.
But I ran in the field there, but I just got back involved with the association at that point, and just so happened to come across the fact that they were looking for a vice president of marketing. And I was at the point in my life where I was like, well, why not? I hadn't done anything from a nonprofit standpoint with the association, but it was clear that they were looking for something different from the interview process that I went through. And it's been one of the most rewarding times in my career by far.
That's crazy. That's really, so one of the things that's really remarkable about it is that, how ingrained the NAACP is in regards to history. And, I've always heard of it. And I'm not going to lie and sugarcoat it. I always thought it was just like, I thought of Al Sharpton on TV. It seemed like it was something. It was something so ingrained with so many people, but it seemed far away. Yeah. Like, I don't know why. It seemed far away, not really understanding that there's multiple chapters all over the United States. And then similar, like my understanding is that when I saw those two students bring me back in, and then I saw, oh, wow, not only are these students here at Mason doing it, but there's a Fairfax County chapter and all that stuff. How do you explain the NAACP to people that think of it as this far away entity that is not really that far for people? It's
a great question because we get this often. NAACP, you need to think of it as top down, bottom up, not top down, meaning that the infrastructure of the association is membership based, meaning that if you have a local branch, so we call them branches on college campus, they're usually called chapters or units or what have you. Yeah. But if you have a local branch in your area, you are the NAACP for the area. Now we have a national office, which is what I work for. And we have, President and CEO Derek Johnson, who's the president of the totality of the NAACP. And we also have a board of 60 plus members from across the country as well, who effectively set the agenda or the policies that the association is going to be leaning in on. But the work or the activity of NAACP takes place at the local level. We are nothing without branches and units on the ground. You saw the impact of a branch or a unit with respect to what you just saw, what took place down in Georgia. We are very, very heavily involved. Georgia State Conference. Shout out to Major Woodall, president of the Georgia State Conference down there. But getting Black voters mobilized from its standpoint, while there's support and supplement from the national level, the work that's being done in Georgia is led by Georgia residents and Georgia people on the ground. And that takes place across the country, even in Minneapolis, when you saw the events that took place with George Floyd. While our president has the ability to go there and certainly help amplify the efforts that are taking place in a place like Minneapolis, President Leslie Redmond of the Minneapolis branch in Minneapolis, she was the one leading the efforts down on the ground. And I appreciate that for President Johnson's standpoint, is that he never wants to kind of parachute in and be there for the emotional impact, because there's people that have to live after all the emotions are settled. After everyone's done crying or angry or protesting, there's policies and actions that need to take place. And there needs to be people that are there to hold law enforcement, public officials, citizens, hold all these people accountable. And so I think the power in that, and which you don't see, is while you see a lot of activist organizations, NAACP is rare in that we have over 2 million members across the country, and they are in the communities that are being impacted. So I think that's the real difference that people don't really know about.
Yeah, and also I wanted to ask, because I know you're the VP of Marketing and Communications, is that one of the things I've found was very interesting is that there's so many issues that we can focus on. Especially at the college chapter, they just got me familiarized where there was political engagement or health or education. And I'm probably murdering all the different pockets, but there's different ones, that different committees. And I could see I feel like, my brain is multiple tabs all the time. How do you focus on and channel? Do you have a flipboard? How do you know what issues on a day to tell your team to focus on today? Because I can see so many things to talk about.
That's a great question, Phil. You know, like, and just being transparent with you, in many cases, our job is to amplify what's being stated by the culture. Like we are supposed to be the megaphone for the community. So if the community is thought, so a perfect example, 2 weeks ago, or almost 3 weeks ago, I guess now at this point, Capitol Hill and what was taking place with the riots and different things like that. While there are absolutely legislation that is impacting, like the George Floyd Act, that we need to be responding to, while there's student debt cancellation that everybody, I don't care whether you black, white, or green, you are advocating for that. Give me that.
Yes.
But it would be disingenuous and inauthentic if we did not respond to what's taking place right now. And so utilizing our mechanisms like social media, our email communications, or even getting our president on television to be able to talk to the tonality that people are feeling right now. So they're pissed off. Quite frankly, we want to let them know that we feel what they're feeling. Obviously a little tasteful in some respects, but the people need to understand that there's a organization that is speaking their language and speaking on their behalf, and it's not sugarcoating things in many respects. I mean, one of the tweets that we sent out during the riots went over a million likes. And I don't know if that's been done very many times in Twitter's history, period. But it was very simple. It said, and we thought kneeling was too much.
I saw that one. I retweeted that. I retweeted that one out. I mean that is it's very powerful because it hits. And I was about to say, do y'all use a lot of social listening then? Like you just follow hashtags and see you said to amplify? How do you know what to amplify?
We amplify. I mean, I spend 90% of my day with news outlets on while I'm working. We have our social media team who is monitoring social, picking up on things similar to when things are being shared that are not true. So messages that were circulating in the last several weeks about the NAACP coming in contact with credible information, saying that white nationalists were about to attack black men and black boys a coming weekend. Because of the value proposition or because of the credibility of the NAACP, someone sees that and it's shared, and then the first thing they think is, well, it's got to be true. And so now it's my responsibility to make sure that we are effectively sharing with our audience that that's not true, that's not information that came from us, and how you should get credible information from us. But yeah, it's really a matter of watching, monitoring, to your point. But then there's also things that we are working on in the background that may not be public right now, but we know that's going to surface very, very quickly. And so it's my job to start planting seeds now, so that I feel like this all the time. I feel like I should always be able to take my audience on the narrative with me. They should be able to follow along with what's happening. So there shouldn't be I didn't know the NAACP was involved in that. Then I'm not doing my job right. I'm not doing a good job. So I want to carry them along. So when we get to climactic moments, we've all gotten there together.
So how do you, obviously, you have a whole team and you obviously got a family, you're a family man. How do you just turn it off? You're not looking at your phone. Like, how do you turn it? Like, the world is still moving. The world's going to move 24/7. So how do you navigate that world that's moving 24/7 and also, as you said, be very responsive to the world that's ever, going 24/7?
I'd be lying if I told you that I've had it figured out. There's moments where I'm flourishing and I'm doing quite well with it. And there's also moments, and I think this is probably the case with a lot of people now with the realities of this pandemic and us working from home. There aren't really many off switches, right?
Yeah.
And that's from all parties. Like, I can sit here and complain about, like, man, I wish they stopped texting me, but I'm the same person texting too, saying, did y'all see this? We should do X, Y, and Z, right? So it's like, it's hard to turn it off. My boss sent me a text message about 20 minutes before we came on here and said, yo, y'all want to jump on the Zoom real quick?
What? Like what now?
Yeah, like, but that's the nature of the role in many respects. And so I've come to accept that, but it's a tough balance. Weekends, what is a weekend anymore, right? Like, what is a weekend in this environment now? But I do make tangible efforts. And what I try to do with my team is, I'm off I'm offline for the next couple hours. For simple things like I need to go get my son's haircut. Different things like that. Did I freeze? Am I back?
No, you're good. You're good.
I think I'm back. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, just little stuff like that. Just trying to let people know, be transparent about, hey, I'm gone. I'm not available right now. You can get back with me at a later time. Just different things like that. But I think the most part is it's hard. It's very hard now in this new environment.
So, obviously it doesn't turn off. You're always working. Do you have to set a mode like now the turning back on part? I was like, wow, like it's almost 9:30. You're turning. So how do you set yourself and turn on at home then? Because you told me how you externally tell the outward world that I'm off. So how do you tell the world inside that you're on in regards to your family and stuff?
Just being more engaged. Like usually I'm down in the man cave when I'm on. So
Okay.
like when I'm working, like my kids know, like just daddy's. If I'm sitting at my desk, leave daddy alone. He's doing something, and I hate being like that in some respects. But when I'm here, I need the silence. I need the space for the creativity, and then I re-engage by coming back upstairs and wrestling with my sons, or helping my kids eat dinner or something like that. I went upstairs and spoke to them for a few minutes before they went to bed. Like it's really rough. This balance now. It was a lot easier before COVID, I would say. Even the small moments of like being able to drive home from work was a time to reset.
Yeah.
And that doesn't exist anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. My son is home with me all day for school. And then my other kids come home later that evening. But by the time I'm finished working, it's time for dinner, and then it's like, oh wait, they're about to go to bed. Let's start this all over again. So it's definitely been a challenge. Something that I'm working on.
Do they know what you're doing? Do they have an understanding what the NAACP is, or do you I think that earlier, not saying we learned it from our parents, but I think we have now. It's weird that I'm having more conversations about the world and politics. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I never thought, I didn't really grow up talking about it as much. It wasn't like dinner talk, but now my son, he's only like, he already understands. He's like, oh, we got a new president. And did y'all like that one? Did y'all vote for that one? I mean, and we're not like, we're not like super inundating him, in regards to politics, but we're talking about it. So I think he understands a little bit more, or that was bad, or we say good things, like good people, bad people. I know that's not probably the best thing to say because people are people, but like, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to storm a Capitol. So we have these conversations. Do your kids kind of get that, what you're doing and just social justice and all that stuff early right now?
My oldest son, Nathan, he's very, very smart. Like to the point, I feel like you, like in that respect, like you don't realize how much they hear and how they're paying attention to, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, like even Nathan last week was like, it's only one more day till we have a new president. And I'm like, what? You're saying? Why do you know that? Go play with a truck or something. Like, what do you mean? And then I was listening to his class because they got like homeroom or something. And before school starts, and the teacher was saying that, the inauguration is today. And one of the little girls was like, it's not Trump, right? And Nathan was like, no, he got voted out. She said, oh, because I do not like him. I was like, the babies know who they, babies know. But I mean, I think that just goes back to what you said. Like, if you're raising your children with a certain level of respect and morality about individuals, kids know what's good and what's bad, man. Like, you have to learn to hate people. You really do. Like, we weren't brought up just hating people. Experiences in life and behaviors and what you're surrounding is what taught you that. And so our job now is to not become, I guess you could say, pessimistic about people in some respects, realizing that there are bad people and there are good people. But I think my oldest son for sure, my youngest are 4 and 3. They don't care nothing about what I'm doing. But my oldest definitely, he understands to a certain degree. What he'll say is like, daddy helps people like me. He'll say stuff like that. Oh
wow, that's powerful. No, I mean that's really powerful though. Like that's powerful. Mm-hmm. Like helps people like me. And then like I think, we ask questions like, you think that's right or wrong? and you just
Mhm.
listen to social justice issues through the lens of a kid. It's crazy. It's like how simplistic they can make it. But then it was like, I wish lots of people could think of that. Like,
Exactly.
like he doesn't want people to come from another country. He's like, why? He'll say something like that. Like, or
Exactly.
it's just crazy. So I found that very fascinating. Kind of jumping back, and I'm pivoting because I'm all over the place. When
Sure.
when you started doing, the taking over the messaging for the NAACP, what was one of the things, like, I'm all about goal setting, right? What was some goals you had? Like, this is a big
Mhm.
job, like I'd probably be very nervous. This is a national organization. You're jumping in. Take yourself in
Mhm.
a time machine. What was some of the things you said to yourself? Like, yo, I'm in it. I'm in this position now. These are some goals I set for myself with this.
I wanted the NAACP to be. I say this often, and I mean, I think now people are starting to understand it. I say that sarcasm is the humor of the intellectual, meaning like if you're witty,
Yes. Yes.
it shows a level. It shows a level of intellect that most people don't understand unless you kind of like. And so I wanted the association to, I always think of a brand as what does a brand look like, right? So in my head, much like you were saying, when I thought about the NAACP before I come on board, I thought of buttoned up, pulpit type of leadership. I mean, respect, which is not bad. Like I'm a preacher's kid. I'm a preacher myself, so I get it. But I wanted the association to look more like Black America looks today. So I wanted people that who could be smart, who could be intellectual, but could also be raggedy and ratchet when it was necessary. I wanted you to know that the same people, and I mean, I'm just being real with you. Like, I want to be smart about these things, but I also want somebody to look at them and be like, they're not to be messed with. I wanted there to be a level of fear and reverence for the NAACP. And I wanted the younger audience, the millennials and Gen Zers, to respect it as an organization who hadn't lost touch. And so that took time. That took a lot of time in how we deliver the message. I always say when messaging is depending on the mechanism, you got social, you got email, you got, media, different things like that. It's always same message or same sheet of music, different notes, right? Like we're all singing the same song, but how I talk to somebody on Twitter and Facebook and everything is completely different than how I'm gonna have President Johnson talk on CNN that night, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
But it's all foundationally the same message. It's just who I'm talking to. My IG audience is, 75% of my audience is 18 to 35-year-olds. I can't talk to them like, I talk to somebody in the pulpit. I'm gonna be like, unfollow, get out of here. You're not talking about anything of reference. And so like we use that methodology when we're going into this stuff. And I think that's why we've seen such massive growth in our social space, because this isn't your mom and dad's NAACP. This is your NAACP. And so how you carry advocacy and civil rights and social justice is how we should be carrying it now. It's good to reference our past. We stand on the shoulders of giants, but now is our opportunity to build our own ideology of what activism looks like now, what advocacy looks like in this environment. I think we're doing a really, really good job of it based on the growth that we've seen. But we got to be good stewards of that audience now more than ever.
I love it. And I was about to say, like, because I definitely, you took me through that journey too, because I think seeing the students get involved and like just how they shout out to all those students at Mason. It's like, I see the younger lane. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm in the middle too, because I was like I said, all I thought when I thought of NAACP was something bad happened, and then there was like a news statement, and someone suited and booted would do something or release saying that was racist, publicly,
right?
And I was like, oh, okay, and it had to be like very, I'm not saying political, but like very top of the elite people were talking, and not necessarily maybe someone down the street or someone at the barbershop.
But like think about that though, right? So the same organization who could put a tweet out that says something as ridiculous as, or even like we put a statement out during I can't even think of her name now, they're so irrelevant, but the press secretary for the White House put out something on Martin Luther King Day about peace and unity, and we responded with MLK Day is about action. Your action is to shut up. Because you're not gonna spew rhetoric for the last 4 years and all this divisive conversation, and then on MLK try to lift up one of our, our pinnacles of unity and our pinnacles of social justice, and then say he wanted peace. Well, okay, well you didn't, because for the last 4 years you've been spewing nonsense. So don't use MLK Day to kind of reset. No, shut up. And that's the type of organization we're becoming, where the same organization that could say that is the same organization that challenged the Biden administration a month ago to build a racial justice cabinet level position. And we're seeing that materialize. Ambassador Susan Rice is going to be carrying the racial equity and justice responsibility under her responsibilities. And that's something that the NAACP stood up. So we can play on both sides. We can be right in your face, ignorant, and we can be policy and legislation talking about strategic things that are going to impact our communities long term. And that's the type of organization we want to be.
Did you have like a pilot? Like when you started off, did you hold your phone up to a bunch of kids and say, "Hey, is this funny?" Or like how'd you find the voice for the kids, for the people?
Listen, trial and error, man. We got a motto on my team: fail fast. If you got an idea about something, try it. If it works, let's keep expanding on it. If it don't, good. We'll get that out the way. Let's mark that off and try something else. And I think that's with anything. You don't want to go so wild that you're losing the perspective. It's like, who are you talking to and what are you talking about, right? Mm-hmm. But I think if you try enough things, it reflects. Like, we're in our mid-30s now. You know what?
You got college, mid-30s.
My knees cracked as soon as I said that. But you know what information applies to you. So just use the same application when applying your plan in this position. It's like, okay, what resonates with me? Okay, well then I got to use those same mechanisms when I'm talking to people. And we try some stuff. We and the funny thing, I was talking to my graphic designer earlier this week, and we've gone from being really, really happy to be on television to our principal, which is what we call our president. He's on television almost every other day now, right? Because of the profile of the association. We've got major advertising in GQ and Vanity Fair and New Yorker and different things like that. But that took time. We didn't I didn't wake up one day and was like, you know what, I'm gonna put our ads in New Yorker. Somebody was like, how about you just work on getting email communications out in a timely manner, right? It just took time. Right. But now we're to the point now where the things that we were trying maybe a year and a half ago when I got there, now we got a little bit more leeway because of the success that we've had. So there's certain things from a graphic design standpoint, or even from a messaging standpoint, that I have more ability to do now because of the success that we've had up until this point. So we're fostering a good relationship. We're being good stewards, and I think because of that, our leadership has given us more leeway to try different things.
Do you have a cross-generational team then? Do you have some younger people? Because I ain't gonna lie, like you said your knees crack. I mean, I have fully realized I'm 35 years old when I walk on a college campus every day. They're like students still. I mean, they call me Phil and all that, but then I'm like, legit. Like they'll say, Philip, why don't you come with us? I was like, did you really just try to invite me to a party? What I look like coming? What I look like? I'm 35 years old. I ain't coming with out with you.
I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired thinking about what you just said.
Yeah, just saying. And, I was like, first of all, I just picture in my mind like, what would I look like as a 35-year-old at a house party with young 20-year-olds? Like that literally is charges. Just call it charges right there. Call it charge. But the point is, I definitely use them. I definitely had like a little student advisory thing for this week I'm planning, because there is a different perspective. Sure. They don't check. You already know it. They don't check emails. You got to they hit DMs. There's a different mode of communication. So do you have that kind of cross-generational team and their input?
Absolutely. I have my boss than me, and then everybody else on my team. We have a team of about 8. Everybody on our team is younger than I am, probably either a hair over 30 and down. And that's happenstance, but it's also it's a reality. Like Black America, the vast majority of the average age is in their, in their, late 20s, early 30s now. We are Black America now, right? So as young as we, or as old as we may feel, like we are the baseline for Black America today, right?
Oh,
so
we're the majority?
team.
We're the majority? Like we're
not the majority yet, but like we're not quite, but we're getting close. Where mom and dad's age, they're starting to fade, and we are becoming this is us. Like this is our, when they think of talk about Black America, it's us now. So it's from that perspective, like what we think matters so much more. But then also to your point, like I need to have a team that reflects what's going to resonate with the audience that we're trying to serve. We have a seasoned NAACP, 50, 60-year-old, and we have to keep them because they are the foundation of the organization in many respects. But there's that 18 to 35-year-old rather, that we need to keep galvanizing and keep letting them know that this is for you in the future. And so to your point, while my email communications may be for that seasoned organization, my IG, Twitter, even us getting involved to a certain degree with Clubhouse, those are all for the audience that we know is coming up the pipeline that we need to foster along the ride as well. And that team, the team that I have, helps to let us know whether or not we are still playing ball with the right audience in many respects. So I might come up with an idea like, hey, what do y'all think about this? And they'll be like, nah, Trovon, that's not it. I'm like, okay, well, I'll come back with another dumb idea later. Like, it don't got to be my idea. It's just got to be the right idea. I don't care if it's mine.
I'm just curious, and this is a random question, but like in regards to regional, like this is all over the area, which region is just super engaged with your with the brand and just the NAACP in regards to America? Is it the South? Is the North, the West? Just curious, like which one is just really, I mean, obviously there's issues across America. I'm not disgrading, but like who's the most vocal about issues across America?
From an NAACP standpoint, or just period?
For NAACP and engaging with you back and commenting back, or just, I don't know, always act, I don't know, very loud. Who's the loudest? I guess.
So, I mean, if you would say most recently, it would have been, this is oddly enough, Georgia and Minnesota would have been the most active, but here's the funny part. Georgia and Minnesota also had the youngest presidents as well. Major Woodall down in Georgia, I think Major might be 28. He's state conference president, but he's not even a branch president. He's the entire state of Georgia. He's the president for that entire state. Leslie Redmond, she's actually from DC, but she's a lawyer up in Minneapolis. She's she's not even 30 yet either. So they have been the most active because they got them, they got the most juice.
They're
the loudest. They're after the protests. They're the ones calling out legislators as they should be. And so whatever they're firing off on, as long as they're in alignment with the association, they have the full support of the NAACP, and we supplement them as much as possible by helping them, be successful in whatever it is that they're advocating for in their particular regions.
So now that's a great point, because I was about to say, like, in regards to carrying the brand, like even Alpha, we say Alpha, you're the brand, we got the brand of Alpha, right? Do you have to, and not in other instances, check people like, this is not how we do it. Like, you can't, like, we can't wear, like, you can't wear your letters when you're drinking, right? And all these other things. We got Alpha, right. We have Alpha branding rules, right? Is there times where you're like, delete this, like delete this post or chill?
100%.
Okay.
Because I tell you when we really see it play out most recently, the recent the election, NAACP is bipartisan. So I mean, we're not Democrat, Republican, but we support Black agenda. Whatever's in the best interest of Black people is what we are in support of. Forget everything else. President Johnson likes to say we have no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. So we're only interested in what's in the best interest of the Black community. Now, that's become very, very tough when you have a former president who was as racist as Donald Trump was. And so in many cases, we would have to, check certain posts that were coming from a unit or a state conference just to be like, oh, you probably need to put that down because it's a little too partisan in your approach.
Yeah.
You know, you can't let your personal interest play a part in how we go about this in many respects. So, you know, it's like in most cases, I'd be like, I get it, I understand, but you got to pull it down.
But that was hard because we did the same thing in Alpha, right? We were like, first of all, we vote, and we're like, vote, vote, vote. Please vote well, strongly, wink, wink, vote. But like, we didn't say who, but it was very hard to say like it was hard to advocate for voting and not tell you like who to vote for. But I get what you're saying. Like,
well, yeah. It's a balance, man. It's about, and when we played the major part, shout out to our civic engagement team because they did an amazing job of towing this line, but it became more of a conversation of what's in your best interest. So we played more on the interest that needs to be taken. Like, which one of these candidates best represents your opportunity to live a peaceable life? Yeah. And I'll let you take it from there.
Please vote.
Go vote, right? Like you said, I think also frat brother of ours, Jamal Watkins, who's our vice president of civic engagement, he always says, we're nonpartisan, but we're not blind. Like, come on, like I don't gotta be Democratic or Republican, but I ain't stupid too. So it's just one of those things where we gotta be calculated about how we go about it. And I think we told it a very, very good line. But as I've said before, we are advocating on behalf of what the Biden administration. We're happy with some of the things that were being said. If they step out of pocket, we'll jump on them too. It's all about making sure that the black agenda is taken care of.
Now, for all these different units, right? I know, obviously, just training and development. Do y'all kind of like give guidance? Now, you know, we talked about the punitive part, but let's, you know, maybe the other part, the development part. Do you kind of like give guidance? You know, branding seminars or like, you know, media kits or like, you know, suggestions for people across the country to say, yo, we can help you, elevate you, and here's some best practices.
Absolutely. So we do what's called all units calls, which allows us the opportunity to speak specifically to units. Now, I mean, it's up to you to participate too, right? Because all of this is voluntary. Outside of national office, everybody's voluntary. So, but you know, we do offer updates on what's taking place, what type of campaigns we're going to be running. Typically, if we're putting out some type of like our We Are Done Dying campaign last year, we would put out toolkits, different things like that. And we would make it known to state conference leadership first before we sent it out publicly so that they could help galvanize. Same thing with our voter mobilization program last year as well, making sure that they're trained on what the national office is putting forward and then using it as an opportunity to make sure that we're being uniformed and unified in the message that's being shared. Before pandemics, we would have a state conferences where you could go to each one of the states, not each one, because it's like 48. I think there's 48 there's NAACP units in 48 states. So we ain't going to all of them at every single time. That's impossible.
Hold on, what's the two states that don't have one? Don't tell me Boise. Don't say Idaho, man.
No, Idaho actually does.
Okay, Hillary. I was about to say for Hillary, please.
Possibly, I think it's Alaska, and I can't think of the other one in the Midwest. Another one in the Midwest, but I'm pretty sure it's Alaska. And you know, that's just a matter. Typically, like literally, if somebody wants to start a chapter or start a branch, they just got to go through the process. It's not like, you know, Alaska's been given a red flag; they can't participate. They can do so, but no, we would go to the state conferences themselves and hold trainings there about branding, what they need to be utilized, different things like that. And you know, I think in most cases, people are doing a good job. Some are a little, like I said, we got a lot of seasoned members. In many respects, we're also migrating everybody over to Salesforce as our baseline platform for all of our membership-based communications as well. So just getting everybody up to speed from that standpoint plays a significant part as well.
All right, so this is my last question, you know, in regards to this. Can you explain that? Because the We're Done Dying was such a powerful campaign. I mean, I even caught, you know, like I said, it's really the optics of it. I mean, not the optics, but the visual and just those simple words was very powerful. How did that come to be?
It's in the same vein of it's a feeling, man. I could, you know, like I was telling I was actually telling my sister this the other day that I'd be lying in some respects if I didn't just say some of this is God-given, and that's not beating anybody's chest. It's just sometimes you just don't know how you end up somewhere. Marketing is as much a science as it is creative, and sometimes the creative is not based off of some formula that you get together. It's just God-given vision about how something should go, and it was really just based off of us, our team collectively coming together and saying, like, I'm sick and tired of talking about a Breonna Taylor or a George Floyd or an Ahmaud Arbery passing, and they're just being outraged. Like, I'm not finna die without there being a fight involved. And that doesn't mean that we about to come out here and take up arms, but there needs to be something more other than visual representation of the fact that we're unhappy. We need to be doing something more salvageable. And it gave us an opportunity, and I think you know this, and I think most people within the African-American community know this. The events that happened with the Ahmaud Arbery or, up in Wisconsin or with the George Floyd, those are not news to us. The only thing different about these circumstances now is that they're being televised and people are being able to talk about them now. But those that's not new to us. And what I like to say is that 2020, America collectively blinked. They all had an opportunity to look at something and say, yo, this is way out of pocket. And it gave us the opportunity to amplify the platform of the fact that not only are we being killed at a disproportionate rate by COVID-19, but we're more likely to be shot and killed by police officers. Oh, by the way, Black maternal mortality rate is at a ridiculous height too. Like, oh, by the way, all this PPP money that everyone's all excited about, less than 5% of that went to Black small-owned businesses and stuff like that. It just gave us the opportunity to throw all this stuff up there and say, and while we're talking about that, there's also this and this and this and this. Sure. And so that's what We Are Done Dying became a focal point, not just on the law enforcement, that portion, but also on the, don't forget about all these other areas, the food deserts from a health standpoint that you were lifting up. These are all areas that we have lived with for a period of time. And so it just gave us an opportunity to kind of reset the agenda on behalf of the Black community. I think we're doing a good job. We got a lot more to do.
Well, that's powerful. I actually lied. This wasn't our last question. This is the portion. This is the portion of the show I call Shot for Shot. You get to ask me any random question. I get to ask you any random question. Do you want to go first? Or I go first.
Wow, you caught me off guard. You go first, and then I'll probably have something.
Okay. So, and not really off guard because I told you I was going to ask you anyway. So obviously you have quite a way with words as a ordained as a minister, I would say. And so it's kind of a two-part question. One, how do those skills of being a minister translate to what you're doing right now? And please share a few stories. I know you go on Instagram and you shared this really powerful story about being in rooms that you shouldn't be in. And I want you to share that one because that one is great for listeners. So that's my two-part question for you.
Okay. It helps from the standpoint that I think everything from a biblical standpoint, you have to make it applicable to today. So if I only tell you a story about something that happened in the Bible, it's like, like, what does that mean now? And there's a way, going back to, I think we were talking about this even before the podcast started. It's like being able to tell somebody, take somebody on a narrative. A sermon is the very same way. If I'm telling you a story or if I'm sharing a sermon with you in an appropriate manner, I should be able to take you to the climactic moment in the story, and we should get there together, right? So I feel the same way from a messaging standpoint, that if I'm doing my job appropriately, we should all arrive at the snaps or amen moment from a social standpoint all at the same time, right? And so those are the type of the things that play a part. And it also helps, like when I'm giving like talking points to our leader as well, our President Johnson, I might tell him to frame something a certain way because it pricks people's hearts a different way if it's framed in a different manner. And so like that's where it's been most helpful. The story I think you talk about though. So I joined the association in June of 2019, I believe. Wow. And so I think it was October, November, that's when we had a bunch of people at the Democratic debate. Like it was like 13 people. It was like, what are y'all doing? Somebody
Yang was there. Everyone was there.
Gang. What was that weird Marianne Williamson, the author lady? She's
Yeah.
I got stories about her too.
She said all it needed was love. Love just could conquer it, yo. I was with her. I would have voted for her.
If you don't get your hippie love out of here, lady. I got a funny story about her too. So anyway, I got invited. I was told that I could go to the Democratic debate in Atlanta. This was the one at Tyler Perry Studios. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going. Of course. Like, what? I'm going to Atlanta to go to absolutely. So I was geeked up. Like, I had I had gotten somebody to cover my kid because I was dropping my son off to school in the morning. I was like, somebody else gotta get Nathan. Like, I gotta go. So I was all, set to go. It was a quick trip. It's gonna be like a down and back. But I flew into DC, got there, and I landed. I was, headed to my hotel, and I text my boss, the chief of staff as well. I was like, yo, I just made it to Atlanta. I'm about to head to the hotel. She was like, yo, give me a call as soon as you can. I was like, okay. I thought she just wanted to, catch up. Like, yo, here's the plan for the night. And so she's like, so we got a problem. And while we submitted the names, I'm looking at the return, and your name's not on the list. And I'm like, what? I just caught a flight from DC to Atlanta. Like, I'm here. What do you mean our name is not on the list? And so I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? She was like, we're still working on some things. We might see what's going to happen, but like, you may not be able to go. And I'm like, y'all flew me all the way to Atlanta, and I got to stay in a hotel. This is raggedy. Look what's going on. And so, long story short, so like, I was calling my boss because I was, letting her know that I made it. I was like, they told me I can't. There's no ticket for me. Like, what am I supposed to do? And she said, and she had said this before, but like, it was in very different circumstances. Like, we were like at our own convention in Detroit. She was like, her statement is, stay close and act like you're supposed to be here. And I was like, what? There's like real presidential candidates here and like celebrities and like working on the studio. I can't just stay close and act like I'm supposed to. What are you talking about? He said, trust me, just stay close and act like you're supposed to be here. She said, stay close to President Johnson, act like you're supposed to be here. And like, this is like, I probably landed at like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and the debate went until like 7. So I had a lot of time to think about what she said. I was like, this might be the most ridiculous statement of all time. I'm about to get dressed up, get on a charter bus, get escorted to the studio, like, go sit back on the charter bus, sir. You don't belong here. Well dressed like lobbyists. Like, what are you doing here? So me and one other guy, and then President Johnson was there, and like President Johnson was chilling because he was good, and so he knew we didn't have no tickets. But like, I'm trying to like play it cool because I'm like, yeah, it's probably gonna be okay. In my head, I'm like, Lord, this will be so embarrassing to get right up here. And somebody like, bruh, get back on the bus, and you have to sit here until we get off, right? Yeah. And Phil, like, let me frame this. We are like, I got to the pre-party, like so drinks and hors d'oeuvres, and like there's like Lynn Whitfield there, and what's her name? Rosario Dawson, like all these important celebrities is there at this gathering prior to us getting on the charter bus to go to the debate. So you hobnobbing real good, and like you meet people like, oh, it's nice to meet you, and then you sitting there like, dang, I'm gonna meet all these nice people, and then I'm gonna get to the door, and they're like, nah, you're supposed to be here. Like, what are you doing? And so we got there, and we're walking up to the, like I said in the video, like people are taking pictures, like, we at Tyler Perry Studios, that's Denzel Washington's lot right there, and I'm over there like, God, please just don't let me get sent home. I want to look like an idiot. So long story short, we got to the door, and I stayed real close to President Johnson. And when he got to the front, he just told the security, he was like, he's with me. And I sat there trying to play it cool, like, and security guy kind of gave him a look, looked at me, he was like, all right, sir. And like, like I said in the video, like I certainly walked in knowing I ain't had no business being in there. But once he said go ahead, I wasn't about to like, it worked. I just made it cool. And whatever they asked me to do the rest of the night, they said no phones out during the debate, no flash photography, no. I put my phone in my pocket, Doc, and I was just there for the rest of the night. I was like, you ain't gonna get a problem out of me. I ain't gonna be in no way. So all in all, but it did reinforce something that oftentimes we kind of go through this impostor syndrome, man. Like we all go through it in some respects where we, God has blessed us to be in certain places that we didn't envision for ourselves. We had no thought that we would ever be able to amass the level of success that we were in now. And then you're sitting somewhere and you're like, what am I doing here?
Yes. Yeah.
What am I? What is going on? And like, yes, you got as much to do with the preparation, but I think that's one of the blessings, man. Like, you have to be cocky enough to know that I deserve this because I bust my tail to be here, but humble enough to know that, man, God could have chose anybody to do this. He could have chose anybody to do this. And so it's just that level of humility and just saying, God, I'm appreciative of the opportunities, and we got to be good steward of the opportunities that he gave us. But, that's for everybody out there, with whatever room you walking into, stay close, act like you're supposed to be there, stay close to the knowledge that's in the room, and contort yourself like you're supposed to be in the room, because if you made it in the room, there's a reason why you're supposed to be in the room. Don't ever lose sight of that. You're supposed to be there.
Yeah. See, I do it. That's why I had to. And also I was about to say, eventually someday we're going to be President Johnson's and we're going to be telling someone, just come with me, worry about it. Like, you never realize that someday you might randomly sneak someone in somewhere.
Listen.
And you know what it felt like.
Right. You're 100% right, man. You just never know. And like, this may just be laying the foundation for what's going to be your future. Like, okay, somebody took care of me when I was, kind of on the outskirts. Maybe I should look to do the same for somebody when I have an opportunity to do the same. And, my career is all about trying to pull people, I have a graphic designer real quick. This was her first real job, right? Like, she was a graphic designer for like full time, but she was doing it. It was her doing it on the side. This is her first time working for an organization. Now she's working as the lead graphic designer for the NAACP, and like building her confidence in what she's been able to accomplish. In a year, she's had ads in Vanity Fair and GQ and New Yorker, like major, we had an ad that we placed in one of these magazines, and then the people from Vanity Fair saw it and asked us, can we put it in Vanity Fair? That never happens.
Mm-hmm.
That never happens. But because she's been able to be exposed to some stuff in a way that she never had before, it's just amazing for her as well. So I just encourage everybody to just take advantage of the opportunities being presented to you, man. You have no idea what trajectory God has for you. You're going to end up in a better place than you ever thought imaginable.
You preaching, preach. All right, what's your question for me?
Your question, when's the last time you party hopped?
First of all, I cross alumni chapter. So I'm one of those dudes that just goes in front of people and just clears the way. People like do like this.
Escort.
No, just do like this.
Escort.
First of all, I did it. We did it. And we actually did a stroll. We did it. Our first banquet right after we crossed. We did one. Okay. And that was in 2017. And that's the last time I did something like that. The other times, I'm just on the side, just saying 06 a bunch of times and throwing up the 5 and then moving people out the way because I can't dance anyway. So that's I thought you were gonna give me another question because that joke was a cheat answer, That joke was terrible. I don't even feel like I feel like I just be trying to sometimes I do things where I look at the kids' videos on Instagram and I try to do it for 2 seconds by myself and I look around, I'm like, this is really embarrassing, and I stop. I'm like,
you sound like me. Last night I was upstairs dancing to some music, and I told my wife, I said, my knees hurt. I'm done. I'm finished now. That's all I had. I'm done. Good. Done with that one. Y'all can have it. Y'all can have it.
That is funny. But yeah, that's it. I'm not the straw. I'm just the guy that yells, "Get out the way," and then does the 1-9 really loud and obnoxious, or the "Who you with." I see that really obnoxious. I'll be the old head that's on the side. Always on the side. Limitations. Yeah, I know my limitations. Actually, I like to go to probates and troll people too. I do that too. That's one of my roles. Like when people do stuff, and, people at probates and they do something, I'm like a rapper in the background that does ad libs. Like they call out someone. They call out another. Yeah. Like oh my goodness. Oh my, that's what I do too. And they're like, Philip.
Did he just say what I thought he said?
Yeah. They say, please stop. Okay, I will share an alpha story. So recently, not
Okay.
recently, pre-pandemic, one of my the IA, right, the IOTA Alpha chapter, right? But it was during the like I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go on a 30-day month of no smartphone. I'm gonna use a burner phone. And so what I did is I actually got an old Nokia box phone off of Amazon, put my SIM card in, and I was just using it all the time, right? Walking around campus. I'm sorry, I can't text. I got T9. So was it? So this is fall. Yeah, fall 19 crosses. I'm at their probate, and they pop out, and they say, in front of everybody. I was like, hold up, hold still, and I pull out the smartphone, and I start taking pictures. Not smartphone, with the Nokia. So now I got a bunch of burner phones of the probate, the blurriest photos you'll ever see. I'll tag you in them, Jones. At the probate, they're like, yo, Phil, you need to stop. Like, they're like, yo, Brother Wilkerson, stop. You look. And I was holding it like an old man, too, like right in the front on purpose.
Now, hold on.
And the worst part was I had it with the shutter. So when I took the picture, it was like that in front of everybody.
Oh, Lord.
So listen, that is my story.
It's funny to you, so it's funny to me. That's all that matters to me.
That's all that mattered to me. It was that, like, no one else. Yo, Philip, stop doing this. I was like, this is hilarious. So
best pictures ever.
I'll send it. I'm gonna tag you on it. I'm gonna go find them. I have a whole album called The Burner Phone, and I put
that's hilarious.
And they're really terrible. They're terrible quality. So
I'm here for that.
That is our episode, ladies and gentlemen. I think that was wonderful. You learned a lot of things. I learned a lot of things. So, Trovon, this is the part of the show called Shout Outs and Plugs. Shout outs, you get to shout out anyone you want to show love to, anyone. And then plugs, anything you want people to follow up, I'll put them in the show notes. I'm actually really am taking notes. So anything, plugs of handles, media, websites, all that, put that in the plugs too. So stage is set, shout outs and plugs.
Shout out to, first of all, shout out to the brothers of Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Hey,
oh, 6. There you go.
So I'm going to go ahead and get that out the way. Definitely shout out to the Fab Five. Shout out to Marcus Bradley, David Wiggins, Jamal Thomas, Marcus Ferguson. Marcus Ferguson probably really happy right now because he's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I don't know how that's possible, but he's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. So shout out to them as well. Big shout out to Hampton University, my home by the sea. The greatest HU of all time. You can say first HU, I say best HU. It don't make no difference to me. And then also definitely want to give a plug to, if you're not a member of the NAACP, please go to naacp.org/memberships. Membership is, as Phil said, it's only $30. Some of y'all spent it on lunch. That's an annual membership. You get the latest and greatest from the association. Follow us on all social media platforms at NAACP. And we got some big things coming for you all. I hope you all are tuned in because we're about to make some noise in 2021.
Perfect. And like I said, I got the card. I'm a card carrying member. I mean, and I love the magazines, but also just love that I feel like my money is going to contribute. So I made sure that my money was attached to the unit at George Mason University. Shout out to that unit right there, doing big things on campus. And just being real leaders. You're going to hear about some of those young leaders, Trovon, as they grow up. They're going to be like congresswomen and men and just doing big things. I already see it, and then I'm going to attach myself to them and ride their coattails. And I'll be that guy walking in rooms I'm not supposed to because I'm like, you remember me from JMU, from GMU. I keep on getting backwards. But thank you so much for everything that you're doing, and thank you for sharing a message that we need to hear. I will say this, and this is the part where it's like, to see what you're doing makes me very proud. Makes me very proud to be a Mount Vernon alum. Makes me very proud to be an Alpha. I'm attached to you through all the things that you're doing. And I know that other people, you also shared a story where it's like going back home, people are proud. Mount Vernon is proud. 703 is proud. So keep on doing that. And know that your message, you are carrying a brand, but your message is bigger than your one person. It's bigger than that, and it's definitely going to make a difference. Obviously, optically, some people don't know what's really going on, and they get that glimpse on that one post, and that one post can inspire them to go down the rabbit hole and do some research, which I know a lot of people do. Like they're oh, what does that even mean? And then before you know it, they're very literate on certain issues that they should be more aware of. So keep on doing that. Please follow the NAACP and all their channels. Make sure that you stay engaged, make a difference, make your voice heard. And if you like this episode, please share it with your family and friends. If you want to leave a voicemail for the podcast, it's 571-336-6560. That's 571-336-6560. Spreading positivity is a movement, and we're out. Thank you for listening to Positive Philter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity a Movement. Thanks for listening.